we need a cushion, but we're starting in Shavasana, or a form of Shavasana. Just for a breath practice, then we'll be moving but lying on the floor. It's all on the floor this morning. In Shavasana, I was saying, rather than just lying there, if you want to pop a cushion or a couple of cushions under your knees and have them bent with your feet flat on the floor, it's a little bit more comfortable sometimes. Or a padding under the back of your head or the back of your upper back, maybe. Just make yourself a little bit more comfortable than just lying on a hard floor if you feel you need to. Maybe you're comfortable that way, that's fine. Okay, so this week, I'm going to sit up while I'm just talking. This week we're doing Sankalpas. Sankalpas are, the translation is an intention. So our Sankalpas we use a lot in Yoga Nidra. We always make a Sankalpa, or mostly we do, of what we want to get from the practice. The way to make a Sankalpa, as far as yoga practices go, is just to listen to the first word that comes up. It normally is the inner you telling you what you need. So although you come to the mat and might think, I want to really go for it today and energize or whatever, might be that when you just listen to that first word that comes up, it's quite a surprise sometimes. It might be something completely that you weren't expecting. Like, for instance, peace when you thought you wanted energy. So the way to do that is not to think too much about it. It's just to bring up the first thing that comes into your head. And that's normally what you really need. So this morning and this week, though, we're not working with individual Sankalpas. We're working with collective Sankalpas, in that I've chosen them to go with the practices. So hopefully they will all resonate anyway with us. And the idea is that when we make a Sankalpa, we repeat them 3 times to ourselves, in our head or out loud, whichever you want, getting a little bit more resolute with each repetition. And what we're doing is we're sending that message into a deeper consciousness, which plants a little seed, is the way that we talk about it. And the deeper consciousness accepts that that's what you need and begins to work on getting it for you, basically. So this morning, we're using the general Sankalpa of I will be open. All the Sankalpas are very positive statements. So I will be open is the one this morning. So if you take that Sankalpa and say it 3 times to yourself in your head or out loud, however you prefer to do it, just be a little bit more sure of it each time you say it. And then after the 3rd time, just let it go and watch it disappear. The words just float away. So we'll begin with a breath practice. We're going to try box breathing, lying here. And rather than having our hands out at sort of 30 degrees to our side, take them out at shoulder height and rest the back of your palms on the floor. That's really uncomfortable. Bring them down a little bit closer to your side, but see if you can open up right across your chest by taking your arms out at shoulder height and rest them on the floor. And then we begin just to notice we've already got quite a good posture here for breathing because we're lying down, our spine is much more extended. So begin just to notice the breath. Notice how it feels this morning, where it's going to, how deep it is, how quick it is or slow, whether the nostrils feel even, whether you're actually asking it for energy or whether you're releasing energy. And then begin to take control of your breath by slowly inhaling through your both nostrils if they're available. Slow the count down to your count of 4 roughly, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4. Roughly that sort of speed. So you want to really think about slowing the breath down, inhaling and exhaling. So continue to control your breath now. Get it into a rhythm, get it into a flow, lengthen it out. Make the inhale and the exhale the same depth, smoothness, and length if you can. So you can continue with that, just breathing, or you can come now to the box breath, which I'll explain as you just continue to breathe. Don't start it yet till I've explained it. We would inhale for 4 or your count of 3 if it's more available. We would hold for the same count. We would then exhale for 4 or 3, whichever you're using, and then hold on the exhale. And as you do this, you would envisage in the mind's eye, with your eyes closed obviously, envisage a box or a square. So if the holds seem too long for you in that pattern, then you can take a 4 in, 2 hold, 4 exhale, 2 hold, so half the hold. So begin when you're ready on an inhale, to your count of 4 or 3, whichever. Just inhale, a nice long inhale, hold gently, pause, and then exhale. You may find the pause is a little bit shorter to start with. Exhale and pause. Inhale, if I've gone off your rhythm, just do it as you want to. Inhale, pause, exhale, pause. So it may be, as I say, that your pause is slightly less than the breath to start with, but you may be able to extend it to an even square feeling. So inhale, hold, or pause, I rather use, exhale and pause. Without any gasping, without any tension coming into it. If you don't like the pause or the hold, then just breathe, inhale and exhale, and still think of that square shape as you do your inhale, exhale. So we would go up one side, along the other, down and across. One inhale, exhale. Doesn't matter where you start, doesn't matter which direction you go in. Just give it a go. So lying down, this can be a little bit more distracting because we're used to breathing sitting up or standing in practice particularly. So you might be finding that it's a little bit harder to really concentrate on the breath practice because of the position you're in. You might actually be the opposite and find that it's actually easier for you because you're more rested and more at ease. So this is just about trying something different and being open to trying something different, to being open to whatever the week ahead of us is about to throw at us. If you're open to what is coming, it's much more easy. It's much easier to deal with things. If you're already worried and closed off, then things become a bigger trauma or mountain to climb. So be open. So let go of the breath when you're finished with your last exhale and pause. And then I will come down to the floor. So we're just going to take half Apanasana to start. So get rid of any cushions or anything underneath you. When you're ready, inhale and draw your right leg towards you. Exhale and take a hold of your shin or the back of your thigh, whichever you feel this morning. Inhale, just gently let the leg move slightly away from you. And exhale, draw the thigh back in close to your body. Continue with that rhythm of inhaling, letting go. Exhaling, drawing it a little bit closer. Opening up the back of the hip here, physically opening our body as we practice this morning. And physically opening up our minds, hopefully, by making a little space there before we begin with whatever's coming today. After your next exhale,
Let go of the foot, bring it to the floor and swap legs on your next inhale. So inhale the left leg towards you. Exhale, take hold of wherever you want to hold. Inhale, let the leg move slightly away from you, just opens up slightly at the hip hinge, and exhale, draw it closer towards you. Don't need to go too big with the first couple, just let the leg open up in the back of it easily. Continue with that breath of inhaling, opening up, exhaling, closing the leg towards you, but actually what we're doing is opening the back of it. And then after your next exhale, release that foot to the floor, stretch, both legs are away from you now. Take your right leg now and bring it into you as if you were coming into a tree, but we're lying down. So bring the right leg folds out the way. And then you can either leave it there in position, it'll be dangling a little bit, you'll feel it's opening your inner thigh on the right side. Either you can leave it there, or if you can either flex the foot and then tuck it underneath your other leg. So you're in the sort of figure of four shape more now than tree legs. If that's not comfortable for you and you don't feel it's right, try popping it on top of the thigh if you can. So you're just above your ankle, goes just above your knee. No joints to joints, please. Otherwise, if neither of those are very comfortable for you, then pop it back down into tree position with your foot against your calf. Okay, so then arms are still out, or if they're not, pop your arms back out at shoulder height. I'm going to do that here. Reaching out, and then all we're going to do is leave the leg just opening in its own time here as we move in the upper body. So we're just going to fold our arms in at the elbow and bring our hands to our chest. Upper arms stay on the floor, so all we're doing is folding in at the elbow and bringing the upper arms to the chest. Take it on the breath if you can, so you're inhaling as you open, exhaling as you draw it in. Just opening up across the front of the elbow here. You can feel little movements through your collarbones, opening and closing possibly. Feel which joints are moving in your upper body here, opening and closing to allow this to happen. And then at the same time, you might be getting a little bit of resonance breaking through from your right hip as it gradually opens here without you focusing too much on it. Your hip is beginning to open. So then take your arms back out, let them rest on the floor. Take your right leg carefully off wherever you are, stretch it out, have a big long side stretch with that right side. So stretch out through the sole of your right foot and through the tip of your right fingers, from the middle of you outwards if you can. And then release that back to center. So then same thing with the left leg. So it may be you're slightly different on the left hip. You might not find whatever you did with the right hip is right for the left hip. So decide whether you want tree position, leg underneath with the foot flexed, or foot flexed and leg over the top of the thigh. All of them will give you a gentle opening in your hip. So arms this time are down by our sides, and we're just going to lift them over our head and back again in that rhythmic pattern. Back of the hand is facing up the way, as the palms on the floor by your side. Inhale, take the arms up above the head, exhale them back down. So they may not reach the floor behind you, don't overreach or overstretch. Just take them up to where it's comfortable. Feel they're quite a heavy weight, so really engage your shoulder muscles and round the collarbone area to lift them back up. Notice which way feels heavier, lifting them up or bringing them back from behind you. Notice where you're opening now, possibly right down into your side bodies as you move your arms in this direction. Notice what's happened with your tummy. Has it automatically switched on? Has your core automatically switched on to help you with this movement? If it hasn't, draw your tummy in, and that will help support your lower back And it'll also help with the movement through the shoulders because it's part of the core movement. After your next one, take the arms down to the side. And then we're going to go into Bhujungasana. So take the arms back up overhead, just to where they're comfortable. Might have softened elbows here, but try and let them be on the floor. So it might be your arms are really bent here. Walk over to the right with your feet and then walk over to the right with your shoulders and come into your version this morning of Bhujungasana. So you might want to take wrists and cross ankles, or you might not want to. We're just opening that left side body here in whichever way that seems right for you this morning. Don't overdo it. Don't feel it's a competition with yourself. Or maybe it does feel good to really stretch it out this morning. Be open to whatever your body is suggesting to you. And breathe, of course. Find your breath. Find the ease in the breath. Feel that nice space coming down through your side body. Slowly opening up. And then walk back to center and then come to the left side with your feet and left side with your shoulders. So your hips stay heavy and still in this position. And there's your center point, holding on to that point for you so that you can open up down the right side of the leg, or the side of the right leg rather. And from the waist up, right up through to the right wrist. Maybe even you've let your head roll to that same side so that you get a little bit of a stretch through the side of your neck at the same time. Having an open body, flexibility is basically what we're talking about here, an open body. And if you're flexible, you're not so liable to have accidents and much more able to do things if you've got flexibility. Then walk back to center when you're ready. And then find your cushion and come over onto your side. We're going to take arm circles here to open up our chest. So come over onto your side as if you were sitting on a chair. Feet stacked, knees stacked, thighs stacked. The shins should be roughly in line with the front of your mat. And then something under your head, cushion or block, just so that you can roll. You want to be sitting, you have your head right on the front edge of whatever it is, so you've got space to roll. Bring your arms in front of you, stack your hands so that your shoulders will automatically be stacked. And then just quickly scan down the back of your body. Notice whether you feel as if you're in line with the back line of the mat. If not, draw back until you feel your spine's nice and long and straight, not curved in one direction. And then we're just going to inhale and we're going to lift that top arm. Leave the bottom one on the floor. Lift the top arm up to just above your shoulder. So you've got it stacked up above your shoulder. And then we're going to roll slowly across the back of the shoulder girdle. And the arm will get quite heavy. Stop when you feel you've gone to the right position for you. If you can roll right across and let the arm come back down to the floor behind you. If that feels too much, then stay where you're comfortable with the arm stacked on top of the shoulder. And breathe, hold here and breathe. So a bit of a twist, quite a big twist. Might feel your knees have moved off each other and your body has come with you in the lower half. That's okay, don't worry too much about the stacking. If that's made it easier to take your upper body over, then that's fine this morning. You're still getting a nice open feeling across the left side of your chest. So if your arm's on the floor behind you, it's quite a powerful thing to lift it back up. So if that feels like it's not for you, sweep the arm down, take it down to your side. So you're still in the twist, but your arm's on the floor now, down behind your bottom, your hands on the floor there. And then just gently draw it up onto your thigh, onto the side of your hip rather, and roll back over. Otherwise, you're going to sweep it up and bring it in a nice big semicircle back over to the front. So some of us have got this ability in our shoulders, some of us haven't. That's the two options. Be safe with what you're doing. Take that one more time. So inhale, lift the arm up. When you get the arm up above your shoulder, start to roll over onto the back of your shoulder girdle. And then take the arm down to where it feels comfortable, or keep it there. Or take it down and put your hand on the side of your hip, if that's more comfortable. Your knees can have separated slightly. Try and keep your feet stacked together if you can. And breathe. So where are we opening here? Obviously, you feel a little bit of an opening sensation across the front of your left shoulder, but possibly across your belly now as well. To come back, either lifting the arm up above and semicircling it over, or take the hand to the side of the hip and roll back over onto the side again. And then in the same position, we're going to come up now onto the elbow of your right arm. So we're coming up into side plank modified here. So your elbow is now under your shoulder, and we've come up the top of our bodies off the floor. The legs now, we want to take the heels and just tuck them back a little bit so that they're in line with your bottom. And all we're going to do here is either keep the hips on the floor or lift up, but all we're wanting to do is lift up through the waist underneath. So either lifting the hips as well or not. Arm can come with you as well. So if you're going to take the arm, this is the movement. Inhale, we're lifting up. I'm not taking my hips off the floor in this one. So that could be your movement. Exhale, take the arm down. Otherwise, we're going to push into the feet. We're going to lift up and lift the hips at the same time. And open up that side body again, lowering back down. Be careful of your shoulder. The front shoulder is taking a lot of support here. So make sure you feel the elbow shoulder stacked. Use your hand to press gently into the floor. If lifting the hips feels too heavy, then keep the hips on the floor and just take the upper body movement with the arm. One more, breathing in as we lift, really lifting up through the waist, opening up that area between the ribs and the pelvis, and then lowering back down. Come back down to the floor, roll onto your tummies, and come into position ready for baby cobra. So heads to the floor, bring your hands back so that your fingertips are in front of your shoulder blades roughly, or your collarbones. Widen the legs if you need to. Find your points of support through your pelvic bones and your pubic bone. Lift your tummy off the floor. And then when you're ready, breathe in and roll up gently into Cobra, taking the elbows close to the side and the shoulder blades down the back of the body. And then roll back down. Take 3 more in your own time. So thinking of gently opening up the front of us by using the support of the back. Inhale up, exhale down. Maybe you get a little bit further each time as your body starts to realize what you're wanting it to do. And the last one, come up and hold for 2 breaths. And then lower gently on an exhale back down to the floor. Take your hands under your head just for a second, rest the forehead, and have a little roll through your hips from side to side. So loosen off the lower back in prone Shavasana, counter pose. And then we're going to roll onto the other side, ready for the same sequence on the other side. So you're taking the chair position to start for our shoulder openers here. Yes. I'll face this way now so that you can see me. Okay, so front of whatever's under your head, stack yourself. Be aware of hands on top of hands and feet on top of feet, and then everything else should come into line. Flex your feet And then when you're ready, inhale, lift that top arm, have it at shoulder height, nothing else has moved, we just opened up the shoulder there. Holding it there, really draw it back into your shoulder. So let the weight fall into that shoulder and then start to roll back across your shoulder girdle, holding onto that weight of the arm. If that's not for you, stop, draw the arm down and pop it onto the side of your hip. And then continue with the movement into the twist. So the arm does become very heavy here and it can be quite powerful through your shoulder girdle. So just be careful of that. When you get round there, maybe your knees have separated slightly, or maybe your top shoulder, your right shoulder is now floating above the floor. If it is, let your knees separate, let the twist move through your body until your shoulder lowers down to the floor behind you. Maybe you can rotate your head that way slightly as well. And breathe. If you had your hand on your hip to roll over, maybe you can now take it down to the floor and open it up with the support of the floor below it so that you come into that sort of T shape across your shoulders. Get that openness through the front of the shoulder. An area we don't open very often, and this area tightens even more because we have a very sort of sedentary forward folding lifestyle nowadays, whether at work or working with things. So be aware of that, and this is a really good opener for that area of your body. Okay, so to come out of that, either we're going to draw the shoulder in again, or we're going to take the hand back to the hip, and then we're going to roll back round out the twist. Stack ourselves one more time, then we're going to take that one more time. So prepare yourself and roll back again. Might find it easier this time, your body's done it already, so the muscles have started to open. Move the hand down to the hip or take it round behind you. And notice if it is more easeful this time. Sometimes when you're opening, if you open slightly, imagine the door. If it's really stuck, pushing open the first bit's the hard part. Opening it a little bit further, and then a bit further, and a bit further, till it's fully open. It's not quite so difficult. It's that thing about opening the first little crack in the door. And that's a metaphor for life, actually, being open to things. The first step's often the hardest. So to come back, remember, draw the shoulder in if you're lifting. If not, sweep it round to the hip and then twist back to the front and relax into that. So we're going to come in now into our side plank modified. So find your position up on your elbow. Make sure this is in line. Really important to have shoulder elbow connection here. Take the heels back a little bit if you're going to lift. That'll make it much more much easier. I can't get that word this morning. Okay, so before you even start, draw your side up a little bit, just so that you feel like you're in line. You're not leaning down towards the floor. So draw up so that we've got some alignment even before we begin. And then either we're going to just lift the arms or we're going to lift the hips with them. So when you're ready, we're inhaling up into that Bhujungasana shape, really, and exhaling down. You can, if the arm's too heavy, you can just do it with the hips if you want to. Try that one. Depends which part of you needs supporting more this morning. Take 2 or 3s, inhaling up, exhaling down. One more. And then come down to the floor, rotate and come down into Cobra. We've done this already, so it may be more easeful. We're just going to take one Cobra up and hold it for 3 breaths this time. So find your points of support first of all, your pelvic bones rather, your pubic bone, lift your tummy. Draw your elbows close to your side. Have a nice long line through your crown. Inhale when you're ready, rolling up, drawing together on the back of the body, lifting up and opening up the front. Hold and take 3 breaths here. So feel maybe opening up your palm a little bit more and spreading the fingers will help support you. Find somebody else that you might can open to support you. After the third inhale, we exhale back down. Take the hands under the head, have a little roll around again. And then we're going to come over onto the back of our body, again, onto the floor. We're going to take 3 roll-ups here in bridge to open us again. So again, with arms or without, whichever you'd rather. And on the third one, we're going to hold for 3 breaths. So just to prepare you, find your feet close to your bottom, find a little pelvic tilt. When you're ready, find your breath, roll up gently on the breath, inhaling. Nice slow inhale, take the arms up with you if you're bringing the arms. And begin the exhale and then start your roll down. So really enjoy this space that you're making in the front of the body as you inhale. Lift up, push gently through your glutes to open up a little bit more through your hips. Exhale, allow your body to settle and restore, come back to the floor. This is your third one, so we're going to hold this one, so be prepared. Inhale up and hold and breathe. And really lift up through your hips. Gently push into your feet to lift a little bit higher. Spread your shoulders slightly if you can. So we're taking more than 3 breaths probably here, so don't feel, you can come down at any point you want. But see if you can take another couple of breaths here. Sometimes knowing the instructions in advance, it's easier to be open to something. But then it might change the circumstances, as often does in my class. But the fact that you've opened yourself to doing it makes it much easier to adjust when you're moving through the process. Again, a metaphor for life. Yoga is a big metaphor for life. Okay, if you haven't already, find your inhale. As you exhale, start to roll back down. Gently placing your vertebrae down on the floor. Allow your legs to come out now to full extension. Take a full body stretch, really open up. And then sweep the arms round in big angel's wings down to the side. Turn the hands upwards, the palms of the hands upwards. Take the feet a little bit wider. Let the feet fall out. Let the hips open across the front of your abdominal area. Feel that spread across your collarbones. Tuck your shoulders slightly. And come into Shavasana to finish. So Shavasana is often at the end of the class to restore ourselves, but it's also a very opening pose. So we open up through the front, the ankles are open, the inner thighs are rolled open, the belly feels very open, the chest feels very open, across the collarbones feels very open, and the palms of the hands are facing upwards and open. Your face is facing upwards, which has got a very open sensation to it. You may have your eyes closed. If you open your eyes just for a couple of breaths and look at the ceiling, feel how open this position feels now with your eyes open. Close the eyes again just for a few more breaths. So this can feel very uncomfortable for some people, this sort of openness. It's not always for everybody. But learning to be open makes life a lot easier to facing things. So let's just finish with repeating our Sankalpa 3 more times as we go into the week ahead. 3 more times repeating, I will be open, either in your head or out loud. And then watch the Sankalpa fade. Let go of your breath
either release yourself into Shavasana and stay a little bit longer, or start to move and get ready to come back up to finish class. So who knows what's ahead of us all this week? We never actually know, do we? But being open to what's coming is already halfway down the road, or the door has slightly opened already. Hopefully it'll be nice things behind it. Thank you everybody for your practice this morning, and look forward to seeing you at the right time tomorrow morning. I'll make sure I change my invitation to GMT, otherwise we'll all be getting up in the middle of the night. Thank you so much, and namaste.